and purse at home, and even one's pocket handkerchief is not safe. Of the shouting and crowding here no conception can be formed. Large kettles are placed in front of the shops, and the proprietors sit beside them, plunging a great wooden fork and spoon into the cauldron to fill the plates of expectant customers. Some eat their favourite dish with fat and cheese, others without, according to the state of their exchequer for the time being, but one and all eat with their fingers. The army of hungry mortals seems innumerable, and during feeding time the stranger finds no little difficulty in forcing a passage, notwithstanding the breadth of the street. Not far from this thoroughfare of the people the two punchinellos are erected. In one of these the marionettes are 1.5 feet, in the other no less than 3 feet high. There is, besides, a theatre for the people, where pieces of tragic and comic character are performed, in all of which the clown plays a prominent part. The remaining theatres, the Nuovo, the Carlini, and others, are about the size of those in the Leopold and Josaphat at Vienna, and can accommodate about 800 spectators. Their exteriors and interiors are alike undistinguished, but in some of them the singing and playing are very creditable. In one of these theatres we are obliged to descend instead of to ascend to reach the pit and the first tier of boxes. Naples contains more than 300 churches and chapels. I visited a number of them, for I entered every church that came my way. St. Fernando, a church of no great size, but of very pleasing appearance, struck me particularly. The ceiling of this edifice is covered with frescoes, and the walls enriched with marble. At the two side altars we find a pair of very fine half-length pictures of saints. St. Gesù Nuovo, another exceedingly handsome church, stands on the borders of the Lago Maggiore, and is full of magnificent frescoes, surrounded by arabesque borders. The latter appear as though they were gilded, and the effect thus produced is remarkably fine. This spacious building contains a number of small chapels, partitioned off by massive gratings. The great cupola is exceedingly handsome, and every chapel boasts a separate one. St. Gesù Maggiore does not carry out its appellation, for it is a small, unpretending church, though some splendid Gothic ornaments beautify the exterior. St. Maria de Piedigrata, another little church, is much frequented, from the fact that the common people place great confidence in the picture of the Virgin there displayed. The church contains nothing worthy of notice. The grotto of Posilip, a cavern of immense length, now called Puzzoli, is not far distant. This grotto, hewn out of a rock, is about 1,200 paces long, between 50 and 60 feet in height, and of such breadth that 2 carriages can easily pass each other. A little chapel cut out of the rock occupies the middle of the cavern, and both grotto and chapel are illuminated night and day. As in the whole of Naples, the pavement here is formed of lava from Mount Vesuvius. Immediately above the grotto, in the direction of the town, we come upon a simple gravestone of white marble, the monument of the poet Virgil. A long flight of steps leads to the garden containing this monument. The poet's ashes do not, however, rest here. The spot where he sleeps cannot be accurately determined, and this monument is only raised to his memory. The prospect from these heights as well repays a visit to the grotto of Posilip, where we wander for a long time in deep darkness, until we suddenly emerge into the broad light of day, to find ourselves surrounded by a most lovely landscape. The public garden of Naples is also situate in this quarter of the town. It extends to the lower portion of the Strada Chiaga, is of great length without being broad, and displays a vast number of beautiful statues, prospects, and rare plants. A large and handsome street, containing many fine houses, adjoins it on one side. I also rode to the Vomero, on which are erected the King's Pleasure Palace and a small convent. A glorious prospect here unfolds itself: Naples with its bay, Puzzoli and a number of beautiful islands, the Lake Agnaro, the extinct craters of Solfatara, Baiae, Vesuvius with its chain of mountains, and the stupendous ocean, lie grouped, in varied forms and gorgeously blending colors, before the gaze of the astonished spectator. This is the place of which the Neapolitans say, with some justice, "Hither should men come, and gaze, and die." Still, the prospects from St. Rosalia's Mount, and from the royal Palace Favorita at Palermo, had better pleased me; for there the beauties of nature are more crowded together, are nearer to the spectator; he can obtain a more complete view of them, while in varied gorgeousness they do not yield the palm even to the fairy pictures of Naples. I more than once spent half a day in the Academy degli Studi, for in this place much was to be seen. The entrance to the building is indescribably beautiful; both the portico and the handsome staircases are ornamented with statues and busts executed in most artistic style. A door on the right leads us to a hall in which the paintings from Pompeii and Herculaneum are displayed. Several of these relics have no small pretensions to beauty, and the colors of almost all are still wonderfully bright and fresh. In the great hall at the end of the courtyard we find on one side the Farnese Hercules, and on the other the Bull, both works of the Athenian Glycon. These two antiques, particularly the latter, have been in a great measure restored. The gallery of great bronzes is considered the first in the world, for here we find united the finest works of ancient times. So many beautiful creations of art were here brought together, that if I attempted a description of them I should not know where to begin. Opposite the gallery of bronzes is that allotted to the marbles, among which a beautiful Venus stands prominently forth. In the gallery of Flora a statue of the same goddess, called the Farnese, is also the principal attention. A statue of Apollo playing on the lyre, of Porphyry, is the greatest masterpiece in the hall of colored marbles, while in the gallery of the Muses a basin of Athenian porphyry occupies the first place. In the Adonis room the beautiful Venus Anadyomene engrossed my chief attention, and in the cabinet of Venus the Venus Callipygos forms an exquisite side piece to the Venus de Medicis. The upper regions of this splendid building contain an extensive library and a picture gallery. I also paid a visit to the catacombs of St. Janarius, which extend 3 stories high on a mountain, and are full of little niches, 5 or 6 of which are often found one above the other. In the chapel Santa Maria della Pietà, in the Palace St. Severino, I admired 3 of the finest and most valuable marble statues that can be found anywhere; I mean, Veiled Innocents, Malice in a Net, and a veiled recumbent figure of Christ. All 3 are by the sculptor Bernini. The largest church in the town is the cathedral dedicated to St. Janarius. This structure rests on 110 columns of Egyptian and African granite, standing 3 by 3, embedded in the walls. The church has not a very imposing appearance. The chief altar, beneath which the body of St. Janarius is deposited, is ornamented with many kinds of valuable marble. Here I saw a great number of pictures, most of them of considerable merit. The chapel of St. Janarius, also called the Chapel of the Treasure, is one of the most gorgeous shrines that can be conceived. The Neapolitans built it as a thank offering at the cessation of a plague. The cost was above 1,000,000 of ducats, and the wealth of this chapel is greater than that of any church in Christendom. It is built in a circular form, and all the resources of art have been lavished on the decoration of the chief altar. Every spot is covered with treasures and works of art, and the roof is supported by 42 Corinthian pillars of dark red stone. All the decorations of the high altar, the immense candelabra and massive flower vases, are of silver. At a grand festival, when everything is richly illuminated, the appearance of this chapel must be gorgeous in the extreme. The head and 2 bottles of the blood of St. Janarius are preserved here. The people assert that this blood liquefies every year. The frescoes on the ceiling are splendidly painted, and on the square before the church is to be seen an obelisk surmounted by a statue of St. Janarius. St. Geronimo has an imposing appearance when one first enters. The whole roof of this church, as far downwards as the pillars, is covered with beautiful arabesques and figures. It also contains some fine paintings, and is besides renowned for its architecture. St. Paolo Maggiore, another spacious church, is well worth seeing.